All right, here we go. This will be the last video in this series, which is basically series one on my channel. This time what we're going to do is we're going to take what we built in the previous three videos. I'll link those in the description and probably up there. Is that right? Or here? One of those. Um, I by no mean I by no means am a mastering engineer, although I've done this for over 30 years and I kind of know what I'm doing, at least as far as what my ear tells me. Um, Obviously, some of these things that I'm going to be doing, some of them will be screaming at the top of their lungs saying, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. Everybody kind of has their own idea of how they do it. Um, some things obviously may not be right, but I think there's always room for artistic expression in this. So um, you can watch me do what I do. You don't do what I do. It doesn't really matter as long as you like the way your mix sounds. Then that's all that really matters. So what I have right now is I've chosen a section in our track here where everything is playing, and I've just looped it with the cycle on. It's an 8-bar loop, um, and then that way we can go through each individual piece as it's playing. We can mute them, unmute them, all that sort of stuff, solo things, and then we can do our mix that way. Press F3 to bring up the mixer, if it will bring up. There it goes. I like to start with a kick. I'm going to solo the top kick and the low kick here, just because I'm going to EQ those together because they're always being played together. I am going to hit edit on the kick bus. It brings up this edit window. Let's see. On the kick bus, I do generally add these things. Uh, this is virtual mix rack on the kick bus. Sometimes I use it for its high pass filter to pull the bass out of the kick. And then I have a trimmer. In this track, we're not using this. We're using this same exact setup on the mix bus to pull the bass out. So I didn't use it on the bass drum itself, but it's always good to have there. Trimmer essentially is just exactly what it says, adds gain or takes away gain. Typically, I use it to take away gain. Here, I didn't need to. It's set on 0. This is UAD virtual tape machine. It just adds a little bit of saturation and warmth, and I'm a big fan of saturation and warmth, as you'll see. With the SSL Fusion, I think it's vintage drive. Yeah, so it adds more saturation and warmth. And then the SSL Violet EQ, which just accentuates a few frequencies here. So I've accentuated the 50 hertz and some of the 1200 hertz there. And I have the SSL bus compressor here, which is just a great all-around compressor. Adds quite a bit of kick. You'll get to hear what it does in a second. I'm going to just press play as these two are soloed, and all you will hear is the bass drum. So, and I will pull these out. That's without them. This is with them. I can get rid of that actually because it's not doing anything. The virtual mix rack. It's not doing anything now, so I just turned it off. Here's the tape machine. Man, that's a great punch to that. Listen to that. Beautiful. There's lots of tape machines on the market. Pretty much all of them pretty much do the same sort of deal. So if you can pick one up somewhere, I highly recommend it. The vintage drive is great. It just adds more of a console drive to it, kind of like tube drive. That's without it. Also more punch. And then this is just really accentuating the 50 hertz here. And some of that top end gives it that kind of slap. And then the SSL bus compressor. Typically, I don't like to have that much gain reduction, so I may turn this on, turn this down a little bit. But I'll let you hear it. It just glues it together. Yeah, it's really nice. I think I'm going to pull really just going to kind of work with it with the mute button, with the mute cursor. Play with this hi-hat a little bit here. So I typically will pull out low end, especially if you see where the frequencies that it's showing has none of this over here. So it's not a bad idea to pull it out, but you got to watch for this curve because it will make quite a big difference. I'll kind of try to leave it back a little bit so it doesn't cut off any of this mid here. There's a compressor on this, and this is just doing a sidechain compression from the kick. I don't have this really with any synth effects, no reverb, delay, or compression on it. Sometimes I like to use this EQ on here. It's a VEQA from Waves. It's got the frequencies basically chosen, pretty popular frequencies. I'm going to try to pull up the 3.3. There we go. Just adds a little more mid-range to it. I'm going to pull that down a little bit because we added gain there. So I'm going to bring it back down. Good. Let's try the next hat. And again, I have low end pulled out there. There's a little bit of reverb on this. You can barely hear. Being sparse with your reverb is a really good thing. It's hard to get a lot of reverb to sound good in a really big room because the room already has a bunch of reverb and you just add it on top of it. I don't think we really need to do much to this. Keep in mind, all the drums are already going through a sidechain compressor. Not a sidechain, a parallel compressor. Sorry. So they're all getting a version of themselves compressed, played on top themselves. So they don't necessarily all need compression. I can scroll down here. Here's the next hat, I think. Yeah, okay. Again, that's pretty good. Hand to the left side a little bit. It's a nice sound. We'll solo it. See, is there anything that we're missing? No pops, no clicks, anything like that. So some things you need to look out for. Just run through each channel, make sure that the sample doesn't have any pops or clicks that you don't notice during the full mix. Fine. We'll undo the ride. I think the ride needs quite a bit of work actually. The ride here. No, it's not. Oh. This is that tiny little hat that we added. This one I'm going to go ahead and process and EQ at a quieter part. It's pretty much the only time that you hear it. So we'll skip that one for now. But let's try the ride. Yeah, that's pretty cool. There's a trick I like to do with the ride. I'm going to move this sidechain compressor down here. I like to hit shift rides down a little bit. It gives it a really cool kind of dirty effect. This one adds more stereo to it. I'm going to grab that EQ again. Start messing with the frequencies that I want to get out of this. Let's say 2.7. That's cool. Maybe add some shine. clap. I think this actually needs more kind of in your face. It can be a little louder, but I'm going to add a compressor here. I like the CLA 76. I mean, just the default setting on this is great. Just adds more punch to it. It's got a nice tight mid-range there. We'll pull some of that. There's a lot of low there. I'm going to activate the filter here. Try to carve some of that out. There's a lot of really low energy below. Say 100 for a clap. There's a little reverb on there too. Let's add the next clap. This is the... What is this? I don't know if this is the right. Yeah, this is one on the right hand side. I think this is good to play with the whole track going. Just bring that up a little bit. That's got a lot of energy down there too. It's got a little delay popping over to the left side. Very good. Let's add this next one. So you can hear the tail of this one better. Got a lot of low end energy also. I might want to pull out some of these mid frequencies on this one too. I'll just do the CLA. That's nice. Alright, here's this tribal loop. Actually, I think needs a lot of work on it. It's really high. Adding a lot of volume, probably like 1.5. I think it stands to lose a little bit of that top end there. I'm just trying to kind of get that funky kind of, it's not a maraca, but almost a woodblock sound. I want that to kind of stand out. Silver from Crush. Let's add the sub bass. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and mute all these top end parts. Get the bass and the kick together. Sounds. all the claps as a whole could probably go down a little bit. I'm just going to pull them down at the clap bus here. I like that, just like that. Let's get this stab in here. I'm going to add an EQ here too. dB. Let's play around with just to play around with the frequencies. I like that. It's nice. A 680, see if bring this down a tad. I'm going to add these send effects back in. I'm gonna pull out this percussion loop and bring it in slowly. I think I don't want it to be as pronounced as it is, but actually use some delay as well. I'm going to try to just hook a ping pong delay here for this. I'm going to use the low filter to pull some of the bass out. Typically don't want to do a lot of delay with bass. Try to keep your bass as mono as possible. It sounded pretty good to me. By the ride. I don't know about you guys, but I think that sounds pretty good. I'm going to listen to it right before the break, and then we'll listen to the drop. And for now, I think that's probably going to work okay. We'll check out the beginning and the end too. Make sure that there's nothing just glaring that jumps out at us. bit. Okay, I'm gonna pull all these effects down just a tad. See if this kick comes in. It's nice, real nice. All right. That sounds great. Let's go to the mix bus, and a lot of the times I'll export two versions. So on the mix bus, I will have the virtual mix rack just like I had on the other one. This one is pulling a lot of gain. It's basically minus 12 dB off of the mix bus, all the inputs that are going into it from all the other buses. It's pulling like 12 dB off of it, just to keep it so it's not too hot running into each of these plugins. That's one thing that most people don't take into account. Plugins work at a specific input level the best, and if you're at 0, you're just overdriving all your plugins and they're not working the way they should. So I always put a trimmer here, and I'll watch how hot it is coming in here and adjust accordingly. So this is all this is doing. This is actually pulling the bass out with this high pass filter from the entire track, not just the kick. But that's all that's doing now is just gain. Again, I've got this tape machine just set on default. Just gives it more warmth, and this is pretty much processed exactly as the kick bus. Vintage drive, any tube emulator will work, or saturation will work. Just use it sparingly. This is the transformer. Again, this is just kind of a console emulation. Adds harmonics, a little bit of distortion. SLS bus compressor. Let's see how hot it's being hit right now. Yeah, so it's barely being hit. If I turn it off, you can see the punch right there. Good stuff. And then I will use this limiter. It's a Steven Slate limiter. I'm just using a preset here that's just glue. And then I will use, so again, I'll use this gain here to adjust how hot I want to go into the stereo out. So we will choose, I'll go pick up the stereo out and show you. And I will typically do two versions. So one version, I'm going to turn down my headphones, it's going to get louder. One version I'll send off, and I will pull this gain down quite a bit. I want to leave about 6 to 8 dB for the mastering engineer just to work with. That just gives them way more headroom. Most people send them things where they get 2 dB to play with. They end up having to pull, crush the whole track. It doesn't make them happy, and you want to make them happy. So I will export one like this typically, and then I will come through and turn this gain up, get it to where it's just barely clipping 0. You can see here where it'll just clip 0. There'll be a little bit of limiting going on, something like that. You can hear what it is here. You can't even really hear anything. That's what it's taking out. It's some of that kick transient. that's taken out there. I'll pull that back. We're just barely touching that. And this one will be for me. And this will be for me to take out, play at the club later, just to have while you're waiting for the mastered version to be mastered and released, or mastered and given back to you. That's a pretty short example of how I will do things. I do a lot of my mixing while I'm making the track, and then I'll just go back through after I'm done and just double check on things. So that's why you didn't see like a whole lot going on here, just very minor things that we did in this video. But it will get you there. Let's export this. So what are we going to call this? I'll call this just series 1. So you come up here to, actually, first what you need to do is you need to shrink this down, and the cycle markers, it will only export everything with inside your cycle markers. And if you can see here, I drug this one past the end of the song because there are reverb tails and delay tails that will be falling off over here, and I don't want those just to stop unnaturally. So we've got all that going on. Everything is unmuted. We have our automation on, so these green R's are doing our automation. Come over to File, Export, Audio Mixdown, YouTube Project 1. I'll do that. Yeah, sure, Project 1. Why not? You choose here where you want it to save to. Preview. It's going to load the preview, I think, onto a track. If real-time export, deactivate external video inputs. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure the only thing that you have chosen here is stereo out, because you don't want to, unless you're trying to do stems, you don't want to choose all of these things and bounce all those out at once. So just do stereo out, then export audio mixdown, and you'll just see it work. We're not going to sit here for 6 minutes while it does this, so stop this video now. Hopefully you learned something here. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or something that I did wrong. Please tell me in the comments below, and we will be back shortly with a brand new video. I think my next one's going to be on setting up a template. I kind of did a little bit of that in the first video, but this one I'm going to go start from scratch and show you guys how to do it, and that's how I would do it if I'm setting up a track here in Cubase. And then once I get that template set up, we're going to start a new track. The next one's going to be harder, probably a hard group type track, but we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just be like a hard Jeff Mills type thing. We'll see. I'll see you in the next one.